Hi everyone. I hope you're looking forward to having a great weekend. Welcome back to the thetechyned vlog. And yes, I know the last time we looked at who is a business analyst, and today we're going to move on to finish up the chapter one. And as a disclaimer, I'm just here to share my knowledge as a Scrum Master, business analyst, and a project manager. Yes, so let's move right into it. And don't forget to subscribe if you're liking what you're doing, and share, leave a comment, and even like. Yeah. So let's look at what we have for today. Tasks. A task is a discrete piece of work that may be performed formally or informally as part of business analysis. So you're expected to perform this task formally or informally, that is documentation, or even some tasks that you just have to close up on chat, or you don't have so many ceremonies around it, and these are part of business analysis work. The BABOK guide defines a list of business analysis tasks. Okay, the definition of a given task is universally applicable to business analysis efforts, independent of the initiative and independent of the initiative type. So let's go at this thing again. The definition of a given task is universally applicable. That is, you can apply it anywhere to business analysis efforts, so to the work done by a business analyst, and independent of the initiative type. So it could be any initiative. Okay, a business analyst may perform other activities as assigned by their organization, but these additional activities are not considered to be part of the business analysis profession. Remember, initially we stated that you may be performing, you may have the, you may not have the role of a business analyst, but you perform the tasks of a business analyst. And here they are telling you that there are also some tasks that you may be performing that have been assigned to you by your organization, but these are not within the office of business analysis. I wanted to almost say project manager. So now, for example, you are selected as a committee member. Maybe your office, you are having a function, maybe a workshop, and you are selected as a committee member. That's not the work of a business analyst, right? Okay, so let's move on. Okay, tasks are grouped into knowledge areas. So telling you that wherever you see those knowledge areas, just expect tasks to be there. Okay, business analysts perform tasks from all knowledge areas sequentially, iteratively, or simultaneously. As a business analyst, you perform your tasks, or the tasks you're expected to, work on, or within the curfews of or purviews of whatever you are doing, from all knowledge areas. This could be sequentially, iteratively, or simultaneously. So it could be one step at a time. It could be, oh, after doing this, I have to do this, and you merge them together, or it forms a whole. You now move to the next step, and all simultaneously. Like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing this at the same time. Okay? The BABOK guide does not prescribe a process or an order in which tasks are performed. They're telling you, we are giving you this information, but we are not pegging it that it has to be done this way, like in this order. Okay? Like telling you, be yourself. And honestly, when you are yourself doing a work or doing anything, you feel free, you even do better or perform better. So tasks may be performed in any order as long as the necessary inputs to a task are present. So as long as what you're supposed to bring into that task is present, you can perform it in any order. A business analysis initiative may start with any task, although likely candidates are analyze current state or measure solution performance. So telling you that the business analysis initiative may start with any task, and likely candidates that you may start with are analyze current state or measure solution performance. So, I think the reason why they brought these two forward is this. Now, whenever you are given something to do, okay, for example, they say, Oloma, we want you to help us with a system that allows us to maybe perform our report, or calculate our financial analysis for the year. The first thing I'll ask them is this: what is obtainable currently? What do you use currently? From that information, I will know then, okay, how does this system work? What you use currently, how does it perform? From there, these are like my go-to discovery questions. Then from there, I know how to approach whatever I need to do next. So each task in BABOK guide is presented in the following format. So it will tell you as you're going through the BABOK guide that any task you see will be in this format. The purpose, description, input, elements, guidelines or tools, techniques, stakeholders, outputs. Okay, so let's move to what and what all these mean. Purpose. The purpose section provides a short description of the reason. So whenever you think purpose, think reason for a business analyst to perform the task. So why am I performing this task? And the value created through performing the task. And at the end of performing this task, what do I look at achieving? Okay, description. The description section explains in greater detail what the task is, why it is performed, and what it should accomplish. Oh my God, I love this. So now the description tells you or explains in greater detail what the task is in terms of what it is, why it is performed, and what it should accomplish at the end of the day. Input. Remember, whenever you see input, you know that this is what I'm bringing in, this is what I need to introduce on, and remember, it is not your one-stop shop. That means there may be other things to do even when you've gotten to the input. So the input section lists the input for the task. Inputs are information consumed or transformed to produce an output. Okay? Remember, like then in primary school, they tell you garbage in, garbage out. So whatever you like saying, if you introduce something, you expect something, right? And represent the information necessary for a task to begin. So, yes, they may be explicitly generated outside the scope of business analysis or generated by a business analysis task. So, this could be generated outside of business analysis or within business analysis task. So, that means a task can introduce another input of another task. Inputs that are generated outside of the business analysis effort are identified with the qualifier external in the input list. So whenever you see external, just know that this input is gotten outside of business analysis. There is no assumption that the presence of an input means that the associated deliverable is complete or in its final state. Remember what I said? When you see an input, doesn't mean that it is your one-stop shop. Okay, there may be other stops to do along the line. So the input only needs to be sufficiently complete to allow successive work to begin. Any number of instances of an input may exist during the life cycle of an initiative, telling you that input can be you can have like different life cycles of an input. Okay, so any number of instances of an input may exist during the life cycle of an initiative. Yeah. So let's move on. Just give me a moment. I want to drop this. I don't know why I'm not able to drop. Okay, yeah. This is what I want so that you know where I am at each point. So the input section includes a visual representation of the input and output, the other tasks that use the output, as well as the guidelines and tools listed in the task. This is good information to underline. So telling you that each time you see an input section, it is visual in nature and it represents whatever you put in and whatever you should expect. Then also includes the other tasks that use the output. So whatever you bring out would be used. Remember, like at the initial, we were told that the output of any knowledge area or whatever forms input to other areas. So, and also it contains guidelines and tools listed in the task. So let's move on. Elements. The element section describes the key concepts that are needed to understand how to perform the task. So the element helps you to understand how to perform the task. Simple. Now, elements are not mandatory as part of performing a task, and their usage might depend upon the business analysis approach. So usage of elements is dependent on the business analysis approach. Guidelines and tools. Just like you see it, take it this way. Guidelines, what guides you? Tools, equipment, or whatever you need, you know? So the guidelines and tools section lists resources that are required to transform the input into an output. So the guidelines and tools section help you with tools or resources you need to transform the input into an output. A guideline provides instructions or descriptions on why or how to undertake a task. A tool is something used to undertake a task. Okay? Guidelines and tools can include outputs of other task techniques. The techniques section lists the techniques that can be used to perform the business analysis task. Stakeholders, you know what the stakeholders, your stakeholders in any deliverable. The stakeholders section is composed of a generic list of stakeholders who are likely to participate in performing that task or who will be affected by it. The BABOK guide does not mandate that these roles be filled for any given initiative. Okay, outputs. Output. The output section describes the result produced by performing the task. Just like it is, outputs are created, transformed, or changed in state as a result of the successful completion of a task. So, telling you that this is changed according to the completion of a task. An output may be a deliverable or be a part of a larger deliverable. So, telling you it could be this or a larger part of a whole. The form of an output is dependent on the type of initiative underway. So, standards adopted by the organization and best judgment of the business analyst as to an appropriate way to address the information needs of key stakeholders. So I have to take this again because it's good information to underline or highlight. So let's go. The form of an output is dependent on the type of initiative underway. So the type of project, okay? Is determined, the output you get is determined by the type of initiative on that is type of project, standards adopted by the organization. What are the standards you have in an organization, and the best judgment of the business analyst as to an appropriate way to address the information needs of key stakeholders. Okay, so it is dependent on the standards, on the initiative, and even you as the business analyst. As with input, an instance of a task may be completed without an output being in its final state, just like we had with the input. Tasks that use a specific output do not necessarily have to wait for its completion for work within the task to begin. You know, in project management, they will tell you start to begin, early to start. So telling you that output being tasks that use a specific output do not necessarily have to wait for its completion, for work within the task to begin. So underlying competencies reflect knowledge, skills, behaviors, characteristics, and personal qualities that help one successfully perform the role of the business analyst. Just telling you that these underlying competencies are those skills, behaviors, everything you need in terms of skill, knowledge to successfully perform the role of a business analyst. These underlying competencies are not unique to the business analysis profession. Telling you that even when you go to medical, you may see these underlying competencies and skills. Okay, when you go to engineering, when you go to other fields of profession, you would see or may see these skills or underlying competencies and skills and whatever. However, successful execution of tasks and techniques is often dependent on proficiency in one or more underlying. So, for you to have a successful task, or even whatever successful execution of tasks or techniques or whatever, is dependent on your proficiency, how able you are, how knowledgeable you are, in achieving one or more of these underlying competencies, putting them in your work. Underlying competencies have the following structure, the purpose, the definition, effectiveness measures, and so on. So let's go into that. Purpose. The purpose section describes why it is beneficial for business analysts to have this underlying competency. Definition. The definition section describes the skills and expertise involved in the application of this competency. Effectiveness measures. Remember when, like, just like I always remind you, take it as it is. You see, effectiveness measures. Effectiveness. You're measuring effectiveness. So let's see what they say about the definition here. The effectiveness measures section describe how to determine whether a person is demonstrating skills in this underlying competency. Techniques. Techniques provide additional information on ways that a task may be performed. Okay, the list of techniques included in the BABOK guide is not exhaustive. There are many techniques. There are multiple techniques that may be applied alternatively or in conjunction with other techniques to accomplish a task. Business analysts are encouraged to modify existing techniques or engineer new ones to best suit their situation and the goals of tasks there. From telling you to please be yourself, uh, think out of the box and stuff. Techniques have the following structure: purpose, description, elements, usage, considerations. So, purpose. The purpose section describes what the technique is used for and the circumstances under which it is most likely to be applicable. Description. The description section describes what the technique is and how it is used. Element. Element section describes key concepts that are needed to understand how to use the technique. Usage considerations. The usage considerations section describes the conditions under which the technique may be more or less effective. Perspectives. Remember what we talked about when it comes to perspectives. Perspectives are used within business analysis work to provide focus to tasks and techniques specific to the context of the initiative. So let's go at this again. Perspectives are used within the business analysis work to provide focus. Perspectives, just like it is perception. What is from which angle are you seeing this from? So now let's carry that definition into this place. So perspective in BABOK gives you focus to task and techniques specific to the context that is specific to whatever initiative within that initiative. Okay, sorry, I'm breaking it down like this so that is how I understand stuff. Okay, most initiatives are likely to engage one or more perspectives. So, telling you that most initiatives, most projects are likely to come from different angles, from different viewpoints and stuff, and you may likely use one or more of these viewpoints or one or more of these perspectives for your initiatives. These perspectives included in the BABOK guide are Agile, business intelligence, information technology, business architecture, business process management. There is a chapter dedicated to this. These perspectives do not presume to represent all the possible perspectives from which business analysis is practiced. The perspectives discussed in BABOK Guide represent some of the more common views of business analysis at the time of writing. Perspectives are not mutually exclusive in that a given initiative might employ more than one perspective. Remember this always. Perspectives have the following structure: change scope, business analysis scope, methodologies, approaches, and techniques, underlying competencies, impact on knowledge area. So once we are done with this, we move into chapter 2. So, change scope. The change scope section describes what parts of the enterprise the change encompasses when viewed from this perspective, and to what extent it impacts both the objectives and operations of the enterprise. So, the change scope helps us to understand the part of the enterprise the change encompasses, and also the extent to which it impacts the objectives and operations of the enterprise. To what extent? The change scope also identifies the type of problems solved, the nature of the solutions being sought, and the approach to delivering these solutions and measuring their value. Business analysis scope. The business analysis scope section describes the key stakeholders, including a profile of the likely types of sponsors, the target stakeholders, and the business analyst's role within an initiative. It also defines likely outcomes that will be expected from business analysis work in this perspective, methodologies, approaches, and techniques. The composition of this section is unique to each perspective. In each case, it describes the methodologies, approaches, or techniques that are common and specific to the application of business analysis in perspective. Methodologies and approaches are specialized ways of undertaking the business analysis work. The techniques included in this section are techniques that are not included in the technique chapter of BABOK guide, but are especially relevant to the perspective. In the business architecture perspective, reference models are listed instead of methodologies or approaches. In the business process management perspective, frameworks are listed instead of approaches. Underlying competencies. The underlying competencies section describes the competencies that are most prevalent in the perspective. Impact on knowledge areas. The impact on knowledge areas section describes how knowledge areas are applied or modified. It also explains how specific activities within a perspective are mapped to tasks in the BABOK guide. So this brings us to the end of chapter 1. Congratulations if you stayed with us till this end. And if you're just joining, welcome to the TechNet blog. Here we share knowledge, and here also we try as much as possible to read aloud tests like the BABOK, the project management book of knowledge, and even the Agile Scrum.org guide. So, but now we're just starting with BABOK. I know with time we're going to, move to other tests. So from here, we're going to move into business analysis key concepts. But before that, I would like to let you know that very soon I'll be starting a five episode or 5 chapter run on my journey to obtaining my CBAP certification and even writing my CBAP exam. So I'm going to share experiences from why I went for the exam, how I prepared for the exam. I would give you detailed information on how to study, where to study, like which resources to pick up from the internet on YouTube. I know you have so many information on the internet, but who to like specifically channel your energy, like I know that IBA on their website provides information for you, telling you that this knowledge area is like how many percent for the exam, this knowledge area. So I'm going to go to like provide those information for you so that you will have it at the back of your mind that when I'm studying for my exam, I know that the bulk of the information or the bulk of the questions will come from here or there, but this would take like 5 phases or 5 episodes. So, but I hope you've enjoyed what we've been doing so far, and if you feel that this is giving you the information you require or you need, kindly subscribe, like, share, comment, and yes, see you next time. Thank you. Bye.